Panthers Nation, we have massive updates coming out of Charlotte today that will shape the entire future of our franchise. Carolina is making ruthless off-season decisions, and the front office is finally showing some real teeth. We are talking about key departures to rivals, strategic moves in free agency, and our general manager scouting the heavy hitters for our defense. You need to hear this before the draft rolls around. Hit that subscribe button right now to stay updated on everything Panthers, because this rebuild is getting real and aggressive. Rico Dowdle is officially gone, as the Carolina Panthers made the calculated decision to let the running back walk away and sign a new deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is the kind of move casual fans do not understand, but it is exactly what wins championships and builds a sustainable culture here in the Queen City. When the news broke that he was packing his bags for the Steel City, a lot of folks in the national media scratched their heads. But inside the building on Mint Street, this is being heavily praised as one of the absolute best decisions this franchise has made all offseason. You have to look at the bigger picture here, regarding our offensive backfield and how the cap space is being meticulously managed by the front office. Retaining a rotational piece simply did not align with the aggressive, forward-thinking blueprint they are trying to establish under this new regime. Letting this former Gamecock star move on frees up valuable resources that can be injected into premier positions of need. And here is the scary part for the rest of the NFC South. This ruthlessness shows that nobody gets a free pass just for being a familiar face in the locker room. The team is cutting the fat and refusing to overpay for secondary contributors, which is a massive breath of fresh air for a fan base that has watched previous administrations hand out questionable contracts like candy. By allowing him to transition to the AFC North, Carolina avoids a bloated payroll and maintains ultimate financial flexibility heading into the most critical phases of team building. Now think about this, every single dollar saved from this departure is going to be weaponized to build a much more physical and punishing roster. We are stripping things down to the studs to build it back the right way, and saying goodbye to decent but replaceable talent is step one. But what the Panthers are planning to do next to fortify this roster is where things get really interesting. If you are loving this ruthless new era of Panthers football, where we actually make smart business decisions, smash that like button right now, and drop a comment telling me your thoughts on the backfield. Dan Morgan is out here making serious moves on the scouting trail, personally attending the Texas Pro Day, to get an up-close and highly critical look at a very promising draft prospect. The general manager is not sitting back in his office waiting for reports to cross his desk. He is getting his boots on the ground to evaluate top-tier collegiate talent, because the absolute priority for this team moving forward remains building a terrifying defense. This is how dynasties are built in the NFL, with a front office executive who actually understands the defensive side of the ball from first-hand experience, going out to scout the next generation of physical dominators. When you have a legendary former linebacker running the show, you know he is looking for a specific type of dog mentality to bring back to Charlotte. And inside the building, this hands-on approach has raised the intensity level for everyone involved in the draft process. The focus on fortifying that defensive unit is crystal clear this offseason, and spending personal time at a massive powerhouse program like the Longhorns proves that Carolina is hunting for premium, blue-chip athletes who can immediately plug gaps and rush the passer. But it gets worse for the rest of our division, because our management is no longer guessing when it comes to draft evaluations. They are verifying every single athletic trait and character concern in person. This executive is meticulously searching for the missing pieces to turn our defense back into the dominant force that used to strike absolute fear into opposing quarterbacks across the league. Now think about this. Prioritizing the defensive foundation allows the entire roster to play with a more aggressive edge, taking pressure off the offense and changing the entire identity of the franchise. It is a brilliant, old-school mentality mixed with modern scouting tactics that will drastically alter our future trajectory. But what the Panthers are planning to do next regarding our defensive line and free agency departures is where things get really interesting. Do you trust our front office to nail this draft and bring that savage swagger back to the defense? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below right now. Deshaun Robinson has officially been released by the Carolina Panthers and allowed to walk straight to the rival Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a decision that has been overwhelmingly evaluated as a massive win for our organization. The massive defensive lineman had significant struggles against the run throughout the entirety of last season, continuously failing to anchor the interior and allowing opposing offenses to gash us right up the middle on critical downs. And here is the scary part: when a player of his magnitude cannot effectively clog those essential interior rushing lanes, the entire defensive structure completely breaks down from the inside out. Letting him head down to Florida to play for a divisional enemy might sound risky on paper, but the reality is that the front office is playing chess while others are playing checkers. By removing his heavy contract from the books, we are actively addition by subtraction, freeing up critical snaps for younger, more explosive interior defenders who can actually hold their ground against the power running games we face in the NFC South. This is the kind of move casual fans do not understand, but it absolutely builds championship rosters by refusing to tolerate subpar performances in the trenches. Allowing the veteran to take his declining run-stopping metrics to the Buccaneers means Tampa Bay will now inherit the exact same structural defensive flaws that held Carolina back during those brutally frustrating Sunday afternoons last year. We are essentially handing a glaring weakness directly to our bitter rivals, which is an unbelievably savvy maneuver by the administration. The complete inability to dominate the point of attack was glaringly obvious on the game tape, and you simply cannot build a sustainable winning culture if you keep rewarding players who get consistently bullied off the line of scrimmage. It is a harsh reality of the NFL business, but this front office is demanding absolute perfection from the interior defensive line, and anything less than sheer dominance will result in packing your bags and leaving town. When you step back and look at these three distinct maneuvers as pieces of a much larger puzzle, the undeniable truth is that the Carolina Panthers are undergoing a massive philosophical shift that will completely redefine our identity. We are no longer the franchise that desperately clings to underperforming veterans or sentimentally overpays rotational pieces just because they happen to be in the building. Letting guys like Dowdle and Robinson walk away without a second thought proves that the standard in Charlotte has been raised to an uncompromising level. If you cannot produce consistently, especially in critical areas like stopping the run or maintaining offensive efficiency, you simply will not wear the black and blue. This front office is surgically removing the dead weight that dragged us down in previous seasons, and they are doing it with zero hesitation. Handing a run-stopping liability directly to the Buccaneers is a stroke of absolute genius because it weakens a division rival while simultaneously cleansing our own roster of a glaring weakness. On top of that, having our general manager personally pounding the pavement at pro days like Texas proves that the organization is fully committed to building through the draft with elite, hand-picked talent. They want physical freaks who play with that classic Panthers defensive swagger. This is exactly what a true rebuild looks like. It is painful to see familiar names pack their bags, but it is an absolute necessity if we want to stop being a stepping stone in the NFC South and return to being the feared juggernaut we are destined to be. Every dollar saved, every roster spot cleared, and every scouting trip taken is a calculated step toward long-term dominance. The culture is finally changing on Mint Street, and it is a beautiful thing to witness. This is not just another random offseason where we make safe, boring choices to simply survive another year in the league. This is how dynasties are built in the NFL from the ground up. The Carolina Panthers are sending a violent message to the rest of the division that the days of being pushed around are officially over. By aggressively reshaping the defensive line, letting go of offensive pieces that no longer fit the vision, and scouting premium collegiate talent in person, this administration is laying down the foundation for something truly terrifying. If you trust this front office to keep making these ruthless but necessary decisions to build the most dominant, hard-hitting defense in football, you need to hit that subscribe button right now. We are entering a completely new era of Panthers football, and you do not want to miss a single second of this transformation. Drop a comment below and let me know which of these moves you think will have the biggest impact on our upcoming season. Keep pounding!